Is August 15, 2020, and we're going to continue the reading Confucius Analects, right? So we are in 4.3. Hopefully we're going to move faster. Sorry. So let's just head on. So
I think we
did that one?
Last time.
Okay.
We're on 4.4 today.
I'm so sorry. Let's do 4 and 4 then. Okay. 富与贵是人之所欲也，贵其道，得之不处也。贫于贱是人之所恶也，贵其道，得之不去也。君子去仁，恶乎成名啊！君子无忠实则兼伟人，造此必与时，颠沛必与时。Go ahead.
4.4 is actually pretty short.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, what it says here is 4.4, chapter 4, says, The Master said, if the will be set on virtue, there will be no practice of wickedness. That's all it says there.
No, it's just a long one. Let's see, try the next one.
Yeah, I see the next one is long. Chapter 5 is long.
On riches and the fame.
Yeah.
That's the one then. So.
Okay. Yeah. So chapter 5 says, The Master said, riches and honors are what men desire. If it cannot be obtained in the proper way, they should not be held. Poverty and meanness are what men dislike. If it cannot be avoided in the proper way, they should not be avoided. Number 2, if a superior man abandon virtue, how can he fulfill the requirements of that name? Number 3, the superior man does not, even for the space of a single meal, act contrary to virtue. In moments of haste, he cleaves to it. In seasons of danger, he cleaves to it.
That's very good. So basically, he always have a consistency, right? In persisting, practicing a virtuous way of life. So in that, Confucius began to expound on different occasions of life, like when you have people bless you with riches or fame. If it's not the right way to get it, what do? You will refuse to accept it. If it's poverty or hardship, but it's the right thing to do. So you will face that consequence, right? So then was talking about a righteous man. You said man of virtue, whatever the word. So if he's done away with this way of righteousness, why he should even be named as a righteous man? He's not righteous at all then. So therefore it's talking about in the everyday life of such a man, he will have that consistency of righteousness, all doing things upright. It doesn't matter how short time it is. It doesn't matter how urgent the situation is. It doesn't matter how dangerous the moment it is. So, making sense here? So that's what it is basically talking about. You can see the Bible also talking about the fruits, right? For godly mind. So, and fruits cannot be observed over time. In time of no consequence, or time of no urgency, or time of no crisis, rather through time of change, time of crisis, time of urgency, the true character of a man often shows, the true thoughts of man shows, how he make decisions, how face, Yun says my point, so I'm right now reminded Solomon's word in Ecclesiastes talking about when facing being besieged by the enemy, all the people in the city running a walk and have no solution, they come to an old man, right? So old man, wisdom, give them a solution and save the city, then he is quickly forgotten. But that's to the loss of the people in the city rather than to the old man, right? So he just did what he needed to do. So that's why he is a wise man. Others are foolish in this case, right? So anyway, 4.6 then on your part is chapter 6.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah, you going to take notes? Anything?
Yeah.
Thinking? Yeah. Okay. Thinking about things. Okay, so I know it's too early, but let's get on the topic. So 4.5 on my part, that's your 6 chapter on your part. 子曰：吾未见好人者，恶不仁者。好人者，无以上之；恶不仁者，其为人也。不是不仁者，加乎其身。与能一日用其力于人矣乎？我未见力不足者也。我未见力不足者，盖有之矣。我之未见也。Go ahead.
So chapter 6 says, The master said, or this is number 1, the master said, I have not seen a person who loved virtue, or one who hated what was not virtuous. He who loved virtue would esteem nothing above it. He who hated what is not virtuous would practice virtue in such a way that he would not allow anything that is not virtuous to approach his person. Number 2, is anyone able for one day to apply his strength to virtue? I have not seen the case in which his strength would be insufficient. Number 3, should there possibly be any such case? I have not seen it.
So, forgot to ask your comments. Now, the last one, do you have any comments on the last one?
Oh, there's actually a lot in the last one. I was still trying to wrap my thoughts around it because there's a lot around it.
Okay, let's pause there. So, have your comments on. So
it seems like even in this one and the following one, we're coming a lot into like the general, character of one with virtue. Mm-hmm. So not even like it's not being very specific, but it's kind of capturing the essence of someone who carries this way of life.
Yes.
And how he responds to the inevitable things of life. Mm-hmm. So I really like what's said in the first part of chapter 5 or chapter 4 in yours, where it was talking about.
Let's go with your chapter. So don't
confuse.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Where it was talking about the approach taken to either riches and honor or poverty and meanness. Mm-hmm. It's very practical, actually. It's essentially saying that if you cannot handle that which is good in the right way, then you shouldn't handle it at all until you're able to handle it correctly. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't avoid things as dislikable as they are, such as poverty and meanness, if they are meant to be handled, and handle those properly as well. Yeah. So it's talking about how it's almost kind of revealing how common it is for us to, in both cases, do something that's against our own desires to remain adherent to this virtuous way of life. So it kind of goes against the desires of the soul almost, which I like that he's kind of contrasting that. Yeah. Because in this first one, he's saying, with the things that we do want to do, if you don't know how to handle it correctly, don't do it. And things that we don't want to do, we often have to engage in because it needs to be done, or it shouldn't be avoided. Okay. And I think that can apply very straightforward with actual and physical poverty and meanness, but I think it can also have to do with other ways of life and other wisdoms as well. Sure. In a more abstract sense. So yeah, you don't have to take it word for word particularly. When it says riches and honor, it doesn't just mean wealth.
Yes.
It can also have to
Physical
do with
things. Yeah.
It can also have to do with mental things, whether that be, like we've discussed, with relationships or with things that are engaged in life, other spheres of life.
Yes.
And then, the rest is quite simple, saying, he kind of sets a standard with the second part of that, saying, if a superior man in any way abandon this virtue, how can he fulfill or be said to have fulfilled the requirements of that name? So how can he be said to be virtuous if not everything he does is done in virtue?
Yes.
Virtue is not an act. That's actually what I really like about that, because it's revealing that virtue here is not an act but a way of life.
It's a person's inner man.
Yeah. And then in the third one saying, kind of going on with number 2 there actually.
It's okay.
So, I guess that's all I have there.
Okay. Let's translate the next chapter then. So, you already did it, right? So, yeah, that one is very interesting. So, this one is very interesting. Let me paraphrase on my own way. So, Confucius said, I never seen who really likes righteousness and hate unrighteousness. A man really loves righteousness, hate unrighteousness. A man who loves righteousness, he will endeavor in righteousness, desire righteousness. Not much to see about that man. Not much to see about that. But a man who hates unrighteousness, we expressing righteousness, is to never allow unrighteousness to touch himself, to defile his life. Have you ever seen a man who really endeavors in being righteous, just in one day put his whole heart and mind into it? I mean, one day, any man can pay attention to do one day, am I? Set aside his whole being, his own mind, do something, am I? Engage something. You play games all day long, so you watch a movie all night long, am I? So you go out to have fun all day long. You never thought you don't have energy for it, basically. But to do the right thing, do everything right, think right, interact with people right, just put everything like exercise, a game, so, or go out to plan a trip, basically do it as exercise that, right? So, but have you seen people do that? Not really, right? Everybody just go with the flow, in a sense. That's not because he don't have the strength to do it or the capacity to do it. Maybe there are those who are incapable of doing it. Confucius said, but I never see one. Basically, everyone can practice righteousness, right? Everyone can do the things right. It's just here implied is a willingness, whether you want to do things right or not. Willingness. Now, to further my own comment on this, willingness is a big thing. God wants a free will offering, right? You don't want to sacrifice because it was ruled or stipulated. You want to willing sacrifice. You want a partner in life or friend in life who want to really partner with you and be friend with you, right? You don't want to partner with me because you can gain something, Be friend with me because you're just going to have a fun, So, for your own purposes, be my friend because you care who I am. You understand my point, So, but most people develop relationship and engage in companionship or partnership in life. What they do? They seldom actually thinking about to be themselves. They allow us to be themselves. Not on the bad version, but on the good version. Just think about one thing. That's just basically develop relationships. Now, what about yourself? during the day, during a set time, said, maybe I can examine this one day or 1 week to see if I do everything right, what my life is going to be like. I remember my own story. When God certainly came to me, I feel, well, my life is going to have to be a fundamental change. I don't like it, So my life was miserable. I was ahead of myself. But nothing for me to do, nothing for me to really be enthused with. But still, I don't like the way that I'm going to have to do things otherwise, So, and God was very patient with me those days. He talked to me very straightforward, like we talking. He's very gracious. He said, try me 3 months. Literally told me. If for 3 months you don't like it, you can always turn back, am I right? It's very reasonable. God is so gracious. So that's literally what he told me. So I tried him 3 months and never turned back, It's unbelievable, right? So, yeah, because just found out 3 months later, there's nothing for me to turn back to, So, her purposes basically, you had to understand all the recording here is in dialogue that we are carrying, So, but the disciples or those hearers, they recognize this, like Peter, am I right? Our conversation, the recording the gospel, they suddenly Jesus just opened a whole dimension of life for them, opened a whole new way to engage with the living God, for them, open up their mind to think about life, relationship, the existence in a total different light, so different perspective. I mean, that oftentimes is unsettling because we're not in a good state when we're found in the examining eyes of God or evaluate what's really going on, motivate us, how we spend time, how we do things. So anyway, I just want to say, I like this idea here when it's, have you seen anyone spend just 1 day wholeheartedly do something right or wholeheartedly be right? Not really, am I right? I mean, they have each year have 365 days. We have how many years? And the people on the deathbed, they never do anything, put a heart in the most basics of try some good. God tell you to do. Am I human wisdom? Common sense tell you to do right. Am I? But we're not doing right. Interesting, huh? But we insist on the wrong, and protest. You have the right to be wrong, so, to do the wrong. Am I right? So, making sense to you? You offended a friend. You know your conscience is not clean. You did something wrong. Your word, your action has scarred the relationship, right? Do you just apologize easily? Oftentimes, take a long time for you to figure out, I might just did that, am I right? The first step you don't think about, I did that, am I right? Because you just don't careless. We don't know. We even scar people or offend a friend, am I right? So now if we come to our sensitivity, we recognize I just did that. Do you instantly pick up the phone or message, tell people, sorry, I did something that, make our relationship hard, or unproductive relationship. Do you do that? Not really. I'm on the pressure side. He will understand. Something else can come about and make it right. Am I right? So, but we don't want to. Others treat us like that. Am I right? If they offended, we wish they could instantly take it off. Tell us, sorry. Am I right? So, making sense to you? Now, there lies the problem. If you do it, what's going to happen? You might have a totally different relationship, or through that experience, you might have a totally different way to dealing with a problematic or troublesome situations, right, in relational dynamics. But we don't do it. Why? Interesting, huh? Simple, alright? So, we would spend a lot of time to win a friend. to buy gifts, to set, you understand my point, rather to have a new friend. But a friend who really you know, and you should respect, and you know who they are, and we don't mend the relationship. Why that? Human mind work in a very mystical ways. Because they're stupid. That's what it is. They're foolish. You see, that's because the human passion, human imagination drive the moment, drive your decisions rather than common sense wisdom, am I? So common sense wisdom. Elijah, you can let's say not use a girlfriend too much because he's too excited about it. So, just think about you going to go to gym, there's sports you have to play by two persons, right? Imagine play the ball on the wall, If you don't do it, do ping pong, for example. You don't have somebody, you're not going to be able to play that game, right? So you're excited about the playing game. You need a partner. You need somebody really going to work with. What do? If you're enthused with that game, you said, hey, let's go play some ping pong, let's go, Right? You would do everything you can to try to get him to go with you, So maybe casually already being appreciated about the people do that with you because you love the game, So what if a friend said, let's commit to it, Let's do that regularly. Let's make that a regular thing, am I? So, but interesting that when it's become regular, you find yourself always being late. You're always being what? Being the one, I don't feel like it, or begin to picking on your friend, Oh, he's this, he's that, You forgot. You rather play with almost a total stranger, just to impress him so that you guys can have some arrangement to play games. I hope I give you enough example for you to reflect certain behavioral pitfalls. So why is that? To think about this. What do you think about? I'm not saying you have to crack yourself. I'm just thinking about you look at ourselves, look at the people. This is the common phenomenon, right? So this is a common vein or common train how we're dealing with things, right? So we have now seldom, like Confucius said, CO1, try to reverse that, right? So go ahead.
So like
Comments.
in this instance, the main pitfall is familiarity.
Yeah, familiarity.
And I think in many ways, if you take familiarity very seriously, it's in the way that the human mind works relationally, it's almost inevitable.
Yeah.
But to a degree, if it comes past a certain point in your relationship with someone, it kind of corrodes the relationship.
Yeah.
So maybe you can either use corrodes the relationship or calluses the relationship.
Yeah.
And that can really have to do with anyone that you have an association with. So
Yeah.
in this instance that you gave, and being the one that initiates playing ping pong with someone, that very person that began that session or that practice is the very one that begins to suffer the fruits of familiarity and begin to lose the discipline in that practice or the importance of what he actually brought up there, and then it kind of goes downhill from there. This practice that they brought up together, as if I'm understanding it correctly,
It's just casual talk.
Yeah.
It's just casual talk. But it's because it point again open up. People say, look at our own behavior,
Yeah.
So we therefore we little bit serious of video. Actually, not. It's a common discussion. Common behaviors.
Yeah.
I suffered the same, and I was young. I'm still suffering the same fallacy or same struggles this day, right? So you see my point, So it's inevitable. part of a human being is liking things, get used to some things, they don't pay attention to it, don't value it as much. But is that a good thing to have in life? Obviously not. Jesus said, lost your first love, something like nature. So apply our relation with God as well, so while you're talking, I remember God would clearly tell me everything in our living my walk. Everything was like bell clear, He would tell me where to go, what's going on. He would dialogue with me like closer, like friends, right? So then after a period of time, he began to speak to me in other ways, so even vision dreams. These days, he speaks to me through circumstances, through others maybe, so. And doesn't mean he don't want to walk with him, but for me, it's lost a little bit of that intimacy, that divine sensitivity, The reason is because of life. I'm not that set apart. I'm busy with things, you get with things, different things. God's not upset per se, but that clear sensitivity, so the overwhelming joy when he speaks to you sometimes, so it's lost. Not lost, but it's just, take for granted rather, so he's speaking the same thing, to the same effect. He still make a decision for me, give me counsel for things, but I take for granted, so. Those days I would be extremely thankful. Thank him all the line, for him to talk to me, give me answers. This is, Father, okay, let's move on, so is that a bad thing? Not really, so maturity, but still, a sense of, there's a loss, right? As you said, familiarity brewed complacency. There's a sense of complacency. See, on my part, is not that thankful to him. So, which I'm in the repetitive. Go ahead.
So I think what he tied back to what Confucius was saying here. He basically points out at first that he has yet to see anyone that, in the full capacity of their strength, has desired to love virtue and hate all that which is not virtuous. But at the same time, he's saying that whenever I have seen this strength applied, it's never been insufficient. So he's kind of making two sides. Saying that I've yet to see people reach this point, but people that have began to reach that point, I've never seen them lack the strength needed to get to that point. So it's kind of like it's borderline paradoxical, but it's not. It's actually very practical.
Can I borrow the Bible a little bit? Yeah, interesting, huh? On the main theme, let's refer to some scriptures on this. 139. Sorry, my phone is. There we go. Let me grab my Bible.
Okay.
In the Bible, we have or in Christian circle, we talk with a sense of false love, am I right? Therefore, we never think that hating something isn't actually has a righteous reason and a positive effect, in practicing true love. Like a nice person, right? Santa Claus never criticized you. I don't say Santa Claus says, basically the worst thing he can is refuse to give you a gift. And I didn't tell you why. Making sense here? So. But hey, is that Santa Claus can be a father? A father will not do that, am I? So, making sense here? He will exactly, because of love, he will tell you why you don't get a gift? Then let it work clear. You could behave bad or done things bad. You're not going to get a gift. Why? Why that? Or even get a punishment. Why that? Out of love, right? Out of the deeper concerns about who you are. So he wanted you to clear whether there's choices. You have a response for your decision, choices of life. In that, inevitably you're going to have to, in order to please God or follow with God wholeheartedly, like David did, you have a whole heart. You're going to love righteousness and hate evil. That's what it is. Here it goes. So I want you to look at Psalm 139, read for us from 17 to the end of the psalm.
How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you. If only you would slay the wicked, O God. Away from me, you bloodthirsty men. They speak of you with evil intent. Your adversaries misuse your name. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord, and abhor those who rise up against you? I have nothing but hatred for them. I count them my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. If there is any offensive way in me, see if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.
On the other part, on reference scriptures in Philippians. Elijah read it for us. In 3 chapter now, in 10 more from there. So
I want to know Christ and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of sharing his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow to attain the resurrection from the dead.
To that his goal. Am I right? He has his goal set up. So, go ahead.
Not that I have already obtained all this, or have already been made perfect, but I press on to take hold of that or for which Jesus Christ took hold for me.
So he has a realistic evaluation of the present state, and then he made a decision. That is the press on. Am I right? So, go ahead.
Brothers, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead.
So he made a way of life in this. So I want to see this chapter here. There are two kinds of perfection concepts. One is perfection when something is reached at the end. A goal, at the end. That's perfection. But there's other perfection is a way how to seek something, how to reach that end. It's itself, there is a way of approaching things, right? So that is another concept of perfection. So in Christianity, the confusion comes. We often think reaching the end is like Jesus Christ in every way, which we will be. We'll be like him when he revealed himself to us, and when he changed our earthly being to his spiritual being, right? So he will be just like him. So there is a perfection there, designed by God, like nothing on our behalf. You can't really be like him. He's the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Can never compare that. So the perfection even there is challenging the superficial and thoughtless idea for Christian, just basically broad stroke thinking, right? So, which is most people argue when we consider the concept of perfection, which you have been actually applying some thoughts to it. The other perfection has to do with the way of approaching things. Amen. Hallelujah. It's like a person shooting an arrow in the bullseye. He may not able to shoot the bullseye every time. But among multitudes, his way of learning to shoot the arrow, hitting the bullseye, is perfect. Amen? Because the game or the process was designed was not that every time you shoot the bullseye. Rather, his attitudes, his persistence, his discipline, his diligence, his way of approaching to be trained, am I right? So to be a good shooter, am I right? So, a marksman, whatever. And that is good. So there's another kind of excellency being drawn out. No one only hold up your hand. Pray for yourself to set your mind down with the thing I'm sharing. The world and human thoughts, has nothing to do with you. When we continue not able to hear, to settle down to really hear the thing need to be heard, we continue engaging things on the intellectual level, idea bouncing opinions. We map up all the opinions and come to the right conclusion. That means you did something wrong. But you have missing the fear of the Lord, missing a way you truly hear. When you were pushing things from a confidence that, okay, I can basically invent all these opinions, get all the information I'm going to have a more better way of understanding things. Well, that's true. Most people progress in their learning, intellectual, they do that. Due to their efforts, they're humble, diligent, they will learn. But there are higher way of learning. Higher way of learning that is definitely is a tool, is a vehicle. Higher way of learning has to do with, do you understand why you are here? Why you're learning? So you don't just pile messages. Okay, somehow I can, like a manual book, when I need it, I'm going to fix the machine, problem. You'll be an inventor of machine. You never need the manual because what? You are the manual. So you have a different way of approaching things. You're the master of the knowledge rather than a slave of the knowledge. Now how that learn has to do with the way how you interact with people. You have to evaluate the information that available to you or fit to you, either were fit to you. What is accomplishing? If you just stuff on the basket in the shelf, someday you're going to pull down, say that I can find this information to fix my machine. Then your life is a machine, right? Need to be fixed. You understand my point? Your life is always based on problem, based on something that seems concrete, seems have need. You pretty much, you yourself said, I got my life figured out. I just need to find all the information, all the tool I need to make it right. The other approach to life, which is the fear of the Lord, is that I don't know about life itself. Now I'm in the sunshine, in the rain, I'm growing in this life. I don't design or presume I can get my life all together, fix it. The human intelligence and most of teachers we have is try to use the fear-based or need-based approach to tell you, if this happens, you're going to need this in life. And that's why they are slaves to their own mind. Not to the world, even to their own way of thinking. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So now, if another student, or which I wish you could be, he will get all the information. He will approaching things differently. For example, as I'm talking to you about this method teaching thing, you can literally on the receiving end be a very good note taker, be a good commentator, but can you teach others in the same way? Well, that's what you truly want to become, right? So you need to become. If you imagine this part is integrity what is going to be you, like Confucius, like Jesus, like other, like Abraham, whoever that word the person is, so you can just not merely on the receiving end of the information that pass. You are the master, of a way of life, a way of teaching, of imparting wisdom. Then you will look at things totally differently. Amen. Hallelujah. So let me just give you something else. If you think I'm just here to inspire you to have a different opinion, better understandings, rather than inspire you to think, to grasp the wing how wisdom works, how true that person that embodied in these teachings, I will look like. Rather than just a Thai thing, okay, we got a good picture of what righteous man look like. Let's write a book about that righteous man. You will be a righteous man. Because this teaching is going to saturate your inner being, going to change you. You understand my point? You can hold it back. You have that experience and you have dedicated a solid period of time really seeking the Lord and allow nothing to distract you. You know what it means.